Hi, everyone. Vasu Vaddiparty here with the VPartySports Podcast. Noon Eastern on the East Coast and 9 o'clock a.m. on the West Coast. We had some technical difficulties in the morning, but figured we'd make sure we get the previews in. We got an hour till kickoff, so I might as well get on it, get you the previews, get you the best bets, get you the winners. 4 more weeks left in the NFL. I'm Vasu Vaddiparty. Thank you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. All right. We'll be back on Monday at 3 Eastern with the full NFL, NCAA, NBA, NHL recaps, daily posts every day at 6 Eastern. On the weekends, we already had some daily posts. I put that up, but I might as well do the show even after the daily post. So please contact me if you're interested in sponsorships. Contact me on Facebook, contact me on Instagram, Twitter, and also right here on the YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, as we go, you see the ticker at the bottom has all the lines for the NFL for the full day today. We'll get to the best bet segment. I know probably a lot of you have seen it. Let's recap yesterday a little bit. What a game in Minnesota. Indianapolis, 33-0 up at the half. Minnesota could not do anything right. And then all of a sudden, an Osborne touchdown, 33-7. Okay. CJ Ham makes it. I mean, this is a 10-4, 10-3 Vikings team coming in. So you knew they were going to have a fight a little bit. Osborne touchdown, 33-7. CJ Ham, 1-yard run, 33-14. Justin Jefferson, I believe was what it was, 33-21. Let me get to the numbers here. And then I know the Dalvin Cook run was the one that tied the game up. I'll get to it right now here. The three pretty good games yesterday. The Cleveland-Baltimore game wasn't so great, but here we go. Let's see here. The game cast. Osborne, a 2-yard touchdown. C.J. Ham, a 1-yard run. Justin Jefferson, an 8-yard pass. Adam Thielen, a 1-yard pass. And then Dalvin Cook, with 3 minutes to go, a 64-yard pass from Kirk Cousins. 2-point conversion to T.J. Hawkinson. Ties the game at 36. They go to overtime. Greg Joseph. I know some of you that have 3.5 or -4 on the Vikings would have rather have seen them gone for the touchdown. Yours truly, Greg Joseph with the win, 40-yard field goal in overtime. They clinched the NFC North. They remain number 2 as the 49ers won on Thursday night. They're trying to stay ahead of the 49ers right now. What a game that was in terms of total entertainment. The biggest comeback in NFL history. Matt Ryan was on both ends of the biggest Super Bowl comeback and now the biggest comeback in NFL history as his Colts were up 33-0. They looked like they were in control. And for some reason, Jeff Saturday and the Colts just couldn't close it out, and it's really unheard of. It doesn't matter what your record is. When you're up 33-0 at the half, you figure you're going to be able to hold on. The home team, the Minnesota Vikings, they are a good team. They did come back. They don't cover. They play one-score games. Every game seems like they're a 3-point game. But Minnesota with a 39-36 victory, they're 11-3. The Colts dropped to 4-9-1. Any slight possibility of playoffs for the Indianapolis Colts are out the window right now. All right, the middle game of the day, the Ravens hamstrung at quarterback. They only mustered 3 points. Lamar Jackson was out. He might play next weekend for Christmas Eve. Their game next week against, I believe it's against the Falcons. So they've got the Falcons next week at home. They may have a chance to play Lamar Jackson, but Tyler Huntley could not do anything on offense. Tyler Huntley and the Ravens lose to Deshaun Watson and the Browns at 13-3. Watson, 161 yards, 1 touchdown, the only touchdown needed. 2 field goals for Cade York, 47 and 23. And then Donovan Peoples-Jones got the 3-yard touchdown pass to make it 13-3. It was 6-3 at the half. The only scoring was the touchdown from Watson to Peoples-Jones. Watson improving every couple of weeks. I know that a lot of people don't like his the way it's all gone about with Deshaun Watson, but it's a different story. He's back now. He's the Cleveland Browns quarterback. They win 13-3. They are 6-8. They still have an outside shot at the playoffs. Ravens now in second place in the AFC North at 9-5. The Bengals play today. They play at Tampa Bay. We'll have a preview of all that in a second. A lot of ramifications for a lot of playoff teams in the NFL for this Week 15. All right, the final game of the night. How about that snow in Buffalo? 8:15 start. Temperature 21 degrees. People throwing snowballs all over the place in overtime. Not in overtime, sorry. The Bills win on the last second kick by Tyler Bass, 32-29. It was a high-scoring game. I thought it might be a little bit of a high-scoring game. Buffalo -7 on the point spread. They had a chance to close it out. Something about Buffalo in one-score games. They just don't cover when it's a one-score game. It's either a blowout or it's a very close game, or they end up losing. Their 3 games they've lost this year have all been from comeback fashion, have all been from turnovers, mostly red zone turnovers by Josh Allen. Anyway, they clinch a playoff spot to the Buffalo Bills. They remain in the number 1 seed. Kansas City plays today. They're at Houston. They'll be one of the early games in about 55 minutes. So 32-29 Buffalo. The Dolphins now fall to 8-6. They're in the 6th seed. They had a 26-21 lead going into the 4th. The third quarter they came out. Jalen Waddle, 67-yard touchdown. Tyreek Hill, a 20-yard touchdown. Both defenders on Buffalo's team got beat both ways. They're both very fast. We know how fast Waddle and Hill are, and they just ran by the defense. 26-21, a field goal by Sanders made it 29-21, and then the Bills came back, tied it up on a Dawson Knox touchdown, a 2-point conversion. Josh Allen, did you see that run? Anybody that wants to question Josh Allen's toughness, better look again. Josh Allen dove over that line, barely touched the end line for the 2-point conversion. 29-29, they get the ball back. Tyler Bass with the 25-yard field goal. Again, you thought they might go for the touchdown. If you had -7, if you go for the touchdown, then you have a chance to kick the extra point and at least get a push. But Tyler Bass with 2 seconds left, the game-winning field goal. 32-29, Buffalo will remain the number 1 seed. All right, let's get to the NFL today. You see the lines going to the bottom. Let's start with the morning games. New Orleans, Atlanta, big game there for the Atlanta Falcons. If they have any chance of catching the South, they're not going to make a wild card spot probably with 8 losses, but you never know. They have 5-8. The Saints are 4-9, -4 for New Orleans. The Jets are 1. Now they're 1.5, and actually the Saints are 4.5 now. The Jets are 1.5 over Detroit. Kansas City 14.5 at Houston. Philadelphia 8.5 now at Chicago, and Carolina -3 versus Pittsburgh. Dallas -4 against Jacksonville. The afternoon games, Denver 1.5 versus Arizona. Las Vegas 1.5 versus New England. The Chargers trying to get into the playoffs as well. They're 3 versus Tennessee. Cincinnati at Tampa Bay, the big one, Joe Burrow versus Tom Brady. Tom Brady hasn't been a home underdog in a long time. Their only underdog that they were this year, the only time that they were a road dog was against San Francisco 2 weeks ago. This is the first time that second time they're an underdog, first time at home all year. First time Tom Brady, probably in a long time, has been an underdog at home, maybe ever. 3.5-point favorite for Cincinnati, 45 the total. Tonight on Sunday Night Football, a huge game for the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants. Shout out to the New York Giants, Washington Commanders fans. That game got flexed in. Both teams 7-5-1. Huge game for both teams in terms of playoffs. Monday Night Football, we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Really a throwaway game. Green Bay -7 against the Rams, 39.5. Interesting stories out of there. Aaron Rodgers probably will play. Baker Mayfield now pretty much the starter for the Los Angeles Rams for the last few weeks. All right, let's get to the possibilities here before we get to Best Bets segment. We'll hit the college games. The NCAA basketball had a big weekend yesterday. The NBA had a big weekend this past weekend as well, too. Did you see how John Morant got ejected? Yesterday was totally crazy. He was talking to a fan, and the referee threw him out for talking to a fan. Anyway, we'll get to all that on Monday, 3 Eastern, with a full NFL, NCAA, NBA, NHL recaps. Of course, Daily Post at 6 Eastern weekdays. And you can see the podcast on loop right after this. If you missed any of the information, we'll have it on loop right up until kickoff, so you get your Best Bets segment as well. All right, possibilities in the NSL, the NFC. How about the Carolina Panthers? They still have a division chance. Atlanta, Detroit, all the NFC still have a playoff chance as well, too. That's a big game for Atlanta. As we said, the standings go like this. If Carolina can win out, that includes a game against Tampa Bay, they will have a chance at the NFC South to overtake Tampa Bay. There's only going to be one team out of the NFC South that's going to come out because the wild card situation is all pretty much set with teams that are above everybody in the NFC South. So Carolina at 5-8. They win today. They win the next 3 games. They win the next 4 games after that. Then today and the next 3 games after that, they go 8-8. They have a chance to win the division. Atlanta, if they win today, Carolina loses, Tampa Bay loses, they've got a chance to maybe catch the division. The tiebreaker edges are all in favor of Carolina. As we go back, the division records are Carolina is 3-1 in the division. So is Tampa Bay. Atlanta 1-3 in the division. So it's an uphill battle for Atlanta. They're going to have to finish ahead of Carolina and Tampa Bay in order to have a division shot. But Carolina still has a pretty realistic shot of getting the division crown if they beat Tampa Bay. The final game of the year, if they can catch Tampa Bay and be even with them, they'll have won the head-to-head series. All right, the Detroit Lions, they've won 5 out of 6. They are going to New York. They were favored all week. How about that? Now it's gone back to 1.5 for the New York Jets. Zach Wilson going to start for the Jets. The Detroit Lions are 6-7. They have a chance to catch the wild card, and here's the scenario for them. They've got Seattle ahead of them. They lost to Seattle, so you can throw Seattle out. Seattle's got to lose for Detroit to move up ahead of them. Detroit has beaten the Giants. They are in the 7th spot right now. So if they can get ahead of Seattle, end up somehow tied or somehow ahead of the Giants, if they get a tie scenario, I don't know if they will get a tie scenario. The Giants have a tie in the loss column, but if they end up with 7 losses and Seattle ends up with 7 losses, there's a chance that the Detroit Lions can get in the playoffs. They did not play Washington this year. The conference record for the Commanders are 4-4-1. Detroit 5-4. But they've won 5 out of 6. Dan Campbell's got good things going on there. They were favored all week. They're going to go to the Jets, and we'll get to the AFC in a second. But that's the ramifications for the wild card. Even Green Bay has a slight chance on Monday night to get into the playoffs, but they're too far back right now. They're 3 games back of the Giants, and they've already lost to the Giants. So it's going to be very tough for Green Bay to get in there as well. But Seattle and Detroit still in the hunt in the NFC. The huge game tonight in Washington, the New York Giants will play the Washington Commanders. They'll play Sunday night. It got flexed in. The teams are 7-5-1 in the NFC East. Washington holds the 6th spot. The Giants hold the 7th spot. Washington has the tiebreak over the Giants based on the best winning percentage in the division games. Division, Washington is 1-2-1, but the Giants are 0-3-1. How about that? Giants haven't even won a division game this year. So if the Giants can win this game, they will overtake Washington for the 6th spot. They will have they'll have 8 wins. The Washington team will have 6 losses, so they'll be able to overtake them. If it ends up in another tie, like it did 3 weeks ago, then the places will stay the same. Washington will be 6th, and the Giants will be 7th as well. All right, so that's your scenario in the NFC. The AFC, Baltimore with the loss yesterday, they're in 2nd. They're in 5th place in the wild card standings now, 2nd place in the AFC North behind Cincinnati, who, as we said, plays Tampa Bay. Miami in the 6th spot. They're 8-6 now, a game back of Baltimore. New England has the Raiders. They're in the 7th spot. New England, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Jets all tied at 7-6. And this is the breakdown. So the win percentage, the tie-breaking factors are they have the tiebreaker over Los Angeles at 7-6 based on conference games. Original tiebreaker between the Patriots and the Jets were broken within the division by the Patriots beating the Jets on that punt return late in the game with about under a minute to go, giving the Patriots the win over the Jets. So that broke the division. And then the Chargers have the better conference record over the Jets, and that's why the Jets are below the Chargers. So New England in 7th, the Chargers in 8th, the Jets in 9th, even Cleveland at 8 losses. They're 2 back of the Jets, 2 back of the Chargers, 2 back of the Patriots, and 2 back of the Dolphins. So an outside shot for Cleveland at 6-8. Jacksonville, here's the interesting story for Jacksonville. Jacksonville has a shot to win the division. Here's how they have a chance to win the division. They've got their game today against Dallas. If they can beat Dallas and then go on to play, they've got the Thursday night game against the Jets. They've got the Texans in Week 17, and then a huge game in Week 18 They've already beaten Tennessee on the road. Tennessee is leaking oil big time. Jacksonville, if they can win outright, finish 9-8. Tennessee finishes 9-8, or they finish with a tie record 8-9, whatever the tie record is. If they can beat Tennessee twice, they have a chance to win the division, believe it or not. Tennessee is not playing well right now. They're having a tough time. They have lost 3 in a row. Jacksonville, 2 games back. They have a game in hand by beating Tennessee. They still have a shot at the division. Wild card might be a little hard to catch. They're behind Cleveland, 2 back of the Jets, 2 back of the Chargers, who are out of the playoff spot, 2 back of the Patriots, who are out of the playoff spot, and 2 back of Miami. The Patriots are 7th, and Miami is 6th. So that's a big game for Jacksonville against Dallas. If they can win outright, Tennessee maintains what they're doing, but they can beat Tennessee at the end of the year, they have a chance to win this division. And who would have thought that? Doug Peterson doing miracles with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. All right, Las Vegas plays New England. This is a big game for Las Vegas. For New England, 7-6 for the Patriots. Raiders are 5-8. Playoff scenarios are pretty much out the window for the Raiders. They have the Raiders as favored 1.5 against New England. And then Pittsburgh, 5-8. They've got small odds to get in as well, too, being only 2 games back. But that's pretty much out the window. So the Raiders and the Steelers, they're looking at each other, trying to figure out how they can maybe get back into these games. If New England and the Chargers and the Jets all lose, then they've got a chance to be a game back if they can win, talking about the Raiders. All right, you see the lines going across right now. Let's get to the best bets segment real quick. The best bets segment we have, I did not put them down, but I'm going to give you the best bets. You see them online as well, too. The best bets I have for today are the Carolina Panthers. I think they're going to – Mitch Trubisky is starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Carolina Panthers, -2.5 or -3, depending on where you get them at. I am going with the Detroit Lions, the red-hot Detroit Lions, 5 out of 6. They started the year 1-6. They're now 6-7, 5-1 in their last 6, and they played the Buffalo Bills very tough on Thanksgiving, a 3-point loss when they were a 9-point underdog on Thanksgiving at home. Excuse me for a second. They're 6-7 with a real chance of a wild card. If some things happen for them, this will be a huge way to get started against the Jets, a 1.5-point underdog going into the game. The Cowboys and Jaguars. Jacksonville has been able to score. This is a tough game. The Cowboys had a tough game with Houston last week as a 17-point favorite. They're a 4-point favorite on the road at Jacksonville. I like the over in this game, 47.5. You can see the lines go by at the bottom. Carolina -3. The Detroit Lions +1.5. The over, the Cowboys and Jaguars, over 48. All right, the afternoon games. I've got the late afternoon games. I've got the Cincinnati Bengals at -3.5 versus the Buccaneers, a road favorite for Cincinnati. Those are tough to take, but I like Cincinnati a lot. I think they're going to be able to cover that 3.5. They are red hot right now. They have won. I believe they've won 6 in a row. They've won 5 in a row. They're now 9-4. They lead the division by a game over Baltimore. If they can win, they lose the tiebreaker to Baltimore. So it's imperative for them to finish ahead of Baltimore. They've got a season-ending game in Week 18 against the Ravens. This one will be in Cincinnati. This one will be a good matchup as well. So Cincinnati -3.5. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots. Every time you take the Raiders as a favorite, somehow they come back on you. The Raiders -1.5. Take New England +1.5. And tonight, they both tied a few weeks ago. I had Washington -2 that day. They were playing well. Washington 7-5-1 in third place ahead of the New York Giants, who are in last place, 7-5-1. All 4 teams in this division will make the playoffs right now, as is the AFC East. 3 of the 4 there will make it. The Jets are the only one that are the outliers there. So 7 of the 8 teams in the East have playoff possibilities right now. All right, the night game between the Giants and the Commanders, I am going with the New York Giants +4.5 against the Commanders. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be a close game. Just got a feeling that the Giants are going to come out and play with all that they have because they cannot afford to lose any more games. They're 0-3-1 in the division, the one being the tie with the Commanders. I think they get a win. If they get this win, then the common games factor comes in. They'll both be 1-3-1 in the division. Then they have the common games that they play. We don't have that scenario yet as well. but it'll matter for them later on down the road for the 3rd and 4th spots in the division, as well as the wild card spots. So there you go. Best bet segment for the early games. Carolina, looking for them to roll through Pittsburgh. Trubisky starting for Pittsburgh. We know what he did last week. The Detroit Lions plus 1.5 versus the Jets. The Dallas Cowboys, Jacksonville Jaguars over 48 in the early games. The afternoon games, late afternoon games, Cincinnati minus 3.5, New England plus 1.5. And then tonight for Sunday Night Football, the New York Giants plus 4.5 at Washington. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow, 3 Eastern, with a full NFL, NCAA, NBA, NHL recaps. What a weekend it was in NCAA basketball. We'll have a full recap of it. Don't forget daily posts every day at 6 Eastern during the week, earlier on the weekends. If you're interested in sponsorship inquiries, please contact me through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast as well, too. I'm Vasu Vaddiparty. Don't forget, if you missed any of the information, it'll loop back immediately. In the next couple of minutes, we'll have the replay of the podcast again, and you get the best bet segment and all the scenarios for Week 15 in the NFL. This has been the VParty Sports Podcast. I'm Vasu Vaddiparty. Have a great Sunday afternoon. Good luck with your fantasy football. Good luck with your sports wagers. Good luck with your NFL viewing as well. Enjoy this Sunday. From California, I'm out. Talk to you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.